Welcome on back to the N Harmon Show. I'm Dalton Wicks alongside Eric Harmon.
This week's episode, we discussed the Stanley Cup-bound San Jose Sharks, an NBA playoffs and offseason update, and MLB headlines, along with A's and Giants specialties. Let's get this started, Dalton.
Let's get into it. Once again, apologize for not putting out a show last week, wrapping up finals and whatnot here at the college, and now we're free men.
Rough week. Got out of it,
We're all
though.
yours, folks.
The summer has started, thank God.
Summertime is here, and let's get into some sports.
Love it. Let's start with the Sharks, dude. I am so pumped. Oh, my gosh. This is 25 years in the making for the team.
Yes, exciting times for the boys in teal, and it's going to be quite an interesting Stanley Cup final, if I do say so myself.
Sid the Kid
and versus Pavelski and company. This will be quite the. I think it's. Could you say this is kind of like a battle of the old regime versus the newer blood?
Yeah, because Pittsburgh.
Sid the Kid's kind of like a mainstay in the playoffs.
They've been good for about 10 years now because of Sid. And, they've been in the playoffs a lot. They've been in the finals quite a few times as well. They had those matchups against the Detroit Red Wings, lost one, won one. And I don't know if they've made it any more than that. But this is Sharks' first time to the Stanley Cup. And, man, has this been a long time coming. I mean, they've had so many good teams in the past 16 years, teams that were favored to make the Stanley Cup, always like, oh, the Sharks are a dangerous team. And really no one thought that this team was going to be good, or not good this year, but no one thought that they'd be where they are right now.
I think you weren't just mishearing them, and they were just saying more just Sharks are dangerous. Stay away from Sharks.
I wasn't
Sharks
even watching NHL.com. I was watching like Discovery Channel.
Yeah. And I gotta say, man, honestly, penguins are my favorite animal. So this is tearing me a little bit. It's tearing me up inside. I love
players.
Me some penguins. March of the Penguins, Happy Feet.
Yeah, I'm
about that.
Happy Feet. It's going to be an interesting matchup because one of the big reasons the Sharks have been so successful in these playoffs is they've had the most depth out of any team in the Western Conference. While other teams, even the St. Louis Blues, at the end of the day, they were only able to roll out three of their four lines because their fourth line was just inept against the Sharks. And the Sharks have been able to roll all four lines throughout the entire playoffs. Their top two pairs on defense have been shut down, just completely shut down, shutting down the opposing team's top players. And but the thing about the Eastern Conference is that that's a conference that has more depth in it. Overall, they're a little bit faster. They skate a little bit more. They're not as physical as the Western Conference. So it's going to be interesting to see how the depth and strength of the Sharks matches up against the speed and the depth of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
So I want to expand a little bit more. You touched on the defense, and I want to touch on Martin Jones in particular. The work he's done in the playoffs, I think, is far exceeding any expectations any of us had. I mean, not that he's a bad goalie at all. He's very solid, but he's just taking it to another level. It seems like it's not only like we touched on this a little while ago too, where it's not just him; it's the defense too. You want to credit the Sharks' defense as a whole doing a good job, but man, he's been doing really, really well with just keeping them off the scoreboard, and it just helps the Sharks on offense that much more.
They seem to be the goaltender Martin Jones and the defense just seem to be in complete sync in terms of Martin Jones directing rebounds to the right areas where the defense always is to clear the puck. You don't get second and third chance opportunities against this squad because Martin Jones is just so calm in net. What you used to see in the past is goaltenders, they get a little, well, this is other than Martin Jones, this is usually the common. They get a little fidgety as the game goes on. That's when they start to mess up on their rebound control. They kick out rebounds into dangerous parts of the ice for the opposing team to make plays. But Martin Jones has stayed calm this entire time, and he's so good at just kicking out rebounds to corners where no one can make a play, to teammates where they can just clear the puck. And the Sharks aren't making mistakes on that. It's like a two-step process. You have Martin Jones kick out the rebound to a defender, and then you need the defender to make one or two passes to break out from the defensive side of the ice. And they haven't been making many mistakes in those two areas whatsoever. And it's absolutely what you need to do in the Stanley Cup playoffs to win games.
And while he's doing his job at one end, I also think that this entire team is contributing from top to bottom. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got your top three scorers in Couture, Pavelski, and Burns are sitting at 24, 22, and 20 points, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just those three guys. I mean, Marlowe, Thornton, just from top to bottom, they're all putting in the right amount of effort to get this team where it needs to be. And it's without this kind of a team effort, I think you're not really going to go very far in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
You need everybody to be locked in, and it's kind of, you see it across all sports, too. It's not just the NHL. Like, anything from the Spurs dynasty in the NBA to what the Warriors have done recently to the Royals winning the championship. All those teams, what they have in common is there's not just that one or two guys who are just totally carrying the team. I mean, everybody is contributing and coming up clutch.
You got rookies a rookie in Jonas Donskoy on the Sharks, who's just been playing out of his mind these playoffs. He's the guy who he's got such a. I mean, he's become one of my favorite players in these past 2 weeks. Just the passes that he makes, the shots the snipes. I mean, he's all over the ice. He knows where to be. He's a smart player. And then you have Joel Ward, came out for the Capitals last year. He's known as a guy who came up clutch, I guess is the way to put it, in series clinching series. He has something like games. He has something like 6 goals in the 4 possible series clinching games he could play it in. He scored 2 in that game 6, and then I think he scored 2 in the game before that too. I mean, it's just all 4 lines that are contributing. Even the 4th line of Tierney, Zubris, and Tommy Wingels has just been a force. They might not be scoring as much, but they're getting down back or forechecking in the opposing zone and setting up face-offs. I mean, they set up the first line by getting the puck deep. So it's just been all across the board positive play, and it's like you've never seen that as a Sharks fan before. Like, this is a team that we're so used to just when the pressure comes, just to fall apart. And this team is, when the pressure comes, rising above and shattering anything in its way. And it's just so unexpected and so amazing. It's just, I can't put words to it sometimes.
I think you would agree that the key to being a Sharks fan to this point is just be patient.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a better feeling right now. Kind of like Giants fans in a way too, and this applies within the Bay Area itself also, because a lot of Giants fans are Sharks fans and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Waiting all that time and getting close at times, like when Bonds was with the team,
yes.
And then when Jason Schmidt, Levon Hernandez, all those guys make it to the World Series back in 2002, I think, against the Angels.
Stupid rally monkey.
Yeah, so then that passes, though. You got close, you tasted it. Then a little bit later, 2010, you finally get the championship.
Yeah,
and now with the Sharks, you came close a lot of times, and then you develop a bit of a bad reputation in the playoffs as a team that just doesn't finish. But now with this new blood, this new group of guys, it's finally clicking, and it's finally feeling like things are coming together. And what I wanted to get into next is, so we need to get into X factors and look at this series and preview what's going to come. So what are some things that the Sharks need to be doing? Is there a certain strategy they need to take against Pittsburgh? Is there a certain player that needs to play it a certain way? What's the key for them to keep the success going?
Keep up with their style of play. They've had a new brand of hockey. Peter DeBauer came in with a heavy forecheck offensive system, right? For a system that your forecheck sets up all your offensive chances. You create turnovers in their zone or in the neutral zone, the middle part of the ice, and you get it going back the other way, and you go fast on the attack, and then you start to work them into the ground with the rotation. And I think the Sharks have enough speed and enough strength. I just said they have enough speed and enough strength to get that done. The question is, will they be able to stop? The Pittsburgh Penguins have so much firepower on offense. Sid the Kid, Phil Kessel, Evgeny Malkin. Just they've got the names when it comes to scoring. So it'll be, I think, if the top 4 of our defense can shut them down, then I think we win this series. I think that's what I'm going to go with. It's just going to take a strong defensive performance. And the Sharks have been so strong defensively. There was a period, I don't know if this was Game 6 or Game 5, where the Blues put out an extra man for 5 minutes. For 5 minutes, the Sharks were playing with one man down, and they didn't give up. They maybe gave up 2 opportunities in a 5-minute period with man down. They looked elite defensively. So they keep that up, they win this series.
That'll be key. Is there anything on Pittsburgh's team that the Penguins boast that might intimidate the Sharks at all? Is there a certain guy? We all know about Sid the Kid. We all know that Crosby's quite the presence and quite the I don't want to say, I don't think you could say legend yet, but he's certainly on his way if he continues playing the way he's been playing. But he's a dominant force in the NHL. You can't understate that at all.
Yeah.
And other than him, though, or maybe including him, is there anything on Pittsburgh that the Sharks may need to adjust for and be ready for? Because obviously Pittsburgh's not going to be the exact same team that they've played, like the Blues or anybody
they're
before.
faster. They're much faster than the Blues are going to be. They're a speed squad. Because the conferences kind of take on their own personality, where the Western Conference is more physical and the Eastern Conference is a little quicker. So you're going to see a lot of speed.
So they're going to try to out-hustle you?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of speed, a lot of just try and not let the Sharks catch up with the Penguins. But the Sharks are a fast team. I think that's one of the. I don't think that's. I mean, I'm all on board with the Sharks right now. So I'm fanboying a good bit right now. But I don't see Pittsburgh having enough speed to stop the Sharks. I think the Sharks are fast. They're strong. They've been rested. One of the big things Peter DeBauer did this season was just say, hey, instead of practicing every day, let's give you guys about 40 extra days off. And it took a little time for the players to adjust to that, but they look so fresh out there right now. You know that that's a big reason for that.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that this is largely a veteran squad?
Yes, absolutely. A big thing about Peter DeBauer is that he is a veteran coach. Like, he's good at coaching those veteran players. Well, that's what the book says on him. He only had 2 or 3 seasons with the New Jersey Devils, and that's that was his legacy coming out of that. That's how everyone thought of him, because once the team went young, they started to suck. But yeah, he's part of a veteran leader of a veteran squad right now, and he has pushed all the right buttons to get this team on board. It's synergy. The synergy on this team is just amazing, But what you originally asked, another thing the Sharks might be afraid of from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does have just as much offensive depth as the Sharks do. They've got, like you said, Sid the Kid. He's not even their leading scorer right now. The leading scorer is Phil Kessel. He came from Toronto. I don't know if it was during this season or last season. He's a good player. They've got Sidney Crosby, obviously Evgeny Malkin, and then they've got another guy named Nick Bonino. And I think this is the Nick Bonino who actually used to be a San Jose Shark. I think he was actually he was drafted by the Sharks, traded to the Ducks, and now he's a star player on the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's an interesting storyline there. He could have been in teal this season, but it didn't work out. And so Pittsburgh, they've got a good squad. But I don't think there's been a team as expressed as dominant in these playoffs as the San Jose Sharks.
Do you think experience might factor in a little bit here? Not in terms of obviously it's a given that a lot of the Sharks are veterans and they've been around. As far as playoff experience goes, because Sid the Kid and the Penguins have been here before and they've got it done.
Yeah.
So that could factor in a little bit. We'll have to see. I think it's just going to come down to which team comes out with more energy and who wants it more.
Yeah.
I think these two teams should be somewhat even on the surface, and it's just going to come down to who comes out of the gate firing and who's got much more energy and firepower to go with in the game, and it's just going to be a game-by-game thing. It's not going to be a series. I think they're going to wake up differently every game.
Yeah, there's not going to be momentum in this series. It's going to be slug it out game by game. Just when you have 2 sets of squads that have their superstar players playing as well as both of these teams are playing, we're going to see some special hockey. Hopefully, if they can both keep it up, we're going to see some really, really fun hockey in the next 2 weeks, starting May 30th.
This is a classic coast-to-coast championship, too.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking from all the way in the tip-top of the eastern half of the U.S. all the way to the western half here near the Bay.
A lot of traveling.
It's going across the entire country.
Yeah.
So
that might help
where I think that's going to have an impact is it's going to make sure that home court or home ice stays ice, because there won't be a whole lot of Sharks fans over in Pittsburgh, and there won't be a whole lot of Pittsburgh fans over in San Jose.
Yeah.
So it's going to stay pretty divided.
You might think that might work out for the Sharks a little bit more because they've been used to a lot of travel. They're consistently the team that has to travel the most out of any squad in the NHL the past 15 years. It's always them at the top of the list. So if anything, they've gotten used to that, and hopefully that works out for them, and they can just. They are one of the best road teams. So if there's any team that'll steal a win on the road, it's going to be them.
That's a really big impact to have in a series like this. I think it's underrated to be a really good road team, and it happens all the time throughout other sports like we talked about earlier. This isn't just NHL. It applies to everything. So when you're traveling on the road away from home, you don't have that crowd with you. You have the energy. It's all trying to go against you. They're trying to psych you out and make you feel not like you're not welcome. But the Sharks do a damn good job of making sure that they just block all that out, focus on their game, and get it done. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here. The series is going to be starting, it looks like, on Monday.
Yes, starting May 30th, Monday at 5 p.m. And
so be there or be square. Get ready to see this series take off, and hopefully they can steal game one and get ahead.
We're finally here. 25 long years. It's
4 more W's. That's it.
Yeah.
4 more. All right, now we're going to jump into some MLB updates, headlines on the season. We're just wrapping up May now, 2 months in. And so what do we think so far?
I mean, I'm liking what I see on once. I'm enjoying the Giants run, so we'll get into that a little bit later.
We'll stick to the broader kind of landscape of the entire league for right now. Is there anything?
There's one thing that's pissing me off.
What?
A certain signing.
Oh, yeah, we got to get into it. It did become official. I don't know when he's going to be making his debut, but Timmy is heading to SoCal. Yeah. Not, thankfully for Giants fans, a certain SoCal team.
Thankfully for realistic Giants fans.
Thankfully, he'll be donning the red and white and not the blue and white. So he's gonna be taking his talents to Disneyland.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss him. He did so much for this organization. Like I view him as the starting point of our turnaround back in 06, 07. Like he was the first big name player, like the guy that we drafted. He's succeeded in the minors. He had expectations in the majors, and not only did he meet those expectations, he blew them away. So he'll always have a special place in my sports heart, and I think all San Francisco Giants fans, just because they know what's up. But he was going to get more playing time and pitching in Los Angeles. So realistically, I can't blame him whatsoever. I would have loved to seen him fill that 5 spot, kick Jake Peavy out of the rotation. But you got to do what you got to do. What's best for you. So
I think for the time being, there was a little bit of bad blood going on between both sides, between Lincecum and the Giants for whatever reason, whether it was the contract situation towards the end of his career there, or the fact that Lincecum wanted to be in the rotation and they only viewed him as a reliever. Something was going on there where they just did not see eye to eye. I think over time, things will kind of mend and they'll rekindle the relationship. Maybe not in time by the time he's retired, but at least like if he were to come back later on as an assistant or
scout, I don't know,
or be honored at a game for his achievements or anything. It'll take a little bit of time, but they'll get there. But for right now, it was better for them to part ways. And maybe he goes and resurrects his career a little bit over in LA. Maybe that's best for what Timmy needs.
That's the second player too, who kind of was a big personality in San Francisco, who things kind of ended oddly. You had Tim Lincecum, and he also, I think it's a good thing that it happened to Pablo the way that ended, because the Giants got out ahead on that one. But that's 2 players. It's a little odd, and when you look at it like that, as 2 players who were beloved and then had. I guess maybe that's what happens. Their own self-value goes up a little bit because the fans love them so much, and then the front office has just a completely objective view on their value and just says, no, we're not going to remake you a starting pitcher. We're not.
Yeah, so good luck to Timmy and his comeback attempt. I remember I made the bold prediction where I think he has a good chance of becoming comeback player of the year if he can get back in time. So we'll see.
Think the plan is 1 or 2 starts in I don't know if it was AA or AAA, and then they'd bring him up. So hopefully 3 weeks or so.
We'll see when he gets himself ready and when the Angels deem him ready to come up. They're starving for help in that rotation, so I'm sure that it won't be long.
Yeah.
With guys like Corey Rasmus and Nick Tropiano taking starts in the rotation, I think they're very eager to get some new blood in there. So we should see him very soon. We might see him face the A's once or twice since they play each other so often. You might see a lot of Giants fans at the A's games very soon.
Yeah, I would not be surprised about that.
So in other news, we have to touch on the recent hot streak. See, I feel a little bit better now. See, it wasn't just the A's that Jackie Bradley just went off on. Jackie Bradley just finished up a 29-game hitting streak that was snapped. But 29 games, that is quite a streak indeed. Quite a long, stretched out amount of time where you're helping your team literally every game. You're getting on base and making things happen.
Yeah, he the all-time record's 56, right? So he got halfway there. I mean, that's very impressive.
Isn't that just more of a testament to how amazing that record is, though? He got halfway. He got halfway. He got kind, and we view that as getting close.
Yeah, because it's so.
It's it's a mind-boggling record. How many times? I mean, we talked about in the NHL segment about how you need to wake up differently for every game and how it's not going to be the same. Well, in baseball, it's literally every day waking up with that same amount of enthusiasm and energy to just keep on chugging and keep on going. And they play 6 or 7 days a week.
Yeah,
so that's getting up every single day and getting up and making sure that you get that hit and that knock to get some momentum going for your team.
Even the best players have an off day, and to do that for almost an entire month. I mean, yeah, he had off days, so that was basically an entire month of straight production. And then the thing is that he's not the only guy on that team with a hitting streak right now. You've got Xander Bogaerts. He's at 19 right now, so he just takes over the current
torch has been passed.
Yeah, so they're just gonna keep rotating it around. That Boston Red Sox lineup has just been so scary good to start this season.
With Poppy finding the fountain of youth in his last ride, and then you've got Bogarts and Bradley, Swihart's killing it behind the plate. They've got a solid lineup. If they could just give Price a little bit more help in that rotation.
I remember seeing that Poppy over the past 162 games worth of at-bats has something like 40 home runs, is batting .350 with like 125 RBIs. He's been going off since the end of last season, going into this season. Hasn't stopped for him. Just a scary lineup. Scary.
Saw a very interesting and very possibly real rumor going around that a pitcher that the Red Sox could target, who they might not have to give up a whole lot for to add to their rotation, of familiar face, is Rich Hill. From the A's.
Yeah.
Because
Boston, right?
he made those starts towards the end of last season that kind of got him onto the map because he dominated for them down the stretch.
He's
got
really
a 2.18 ERA right now. He's killing it. He's the only guy that's doing anything that's positive in that rotation for the A's. So
to think I was making fun of him earlier too, I was completely wrong.
He's a very real possibility for the Red Sox to go out and grab, and they could grab him and somebody else on top of that too.
Yeah. They're going to be scary in the AL East. AL East always fun, even though Toronto's not playing as well as they.
No, it's getting to the point where if Toronto doesn't turn things around in the next month, I think they may have to consider just giving up on this year and dealing what they have. Guys like Drew Storen and Jesse Chavez, just rental pieces that they can even. If they have no plan on re-signing, even Jose Bautista, Joey Bats, and Edwin Encarnacion, if they don't think they have what it takes to re-sign those guys, you could see them being shipped off to a contender also.
Yeah, because they've never been a team. They've been relatively fiscal with their money, I felt like, as a team personality over the past 20 years. You never see them go out and, just say, hey, we're going to try and spend over and over again to keep that big team. They'll rebuild, and they'll go for it. So I could definitely see that happening. They've got
quite a bit of salary commitment already, with Russell Martin being one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid catcher in baseball. Yeah. Donaldson's going to get a huge raise soon. Tulowitzki is getting paid quite a substantial amount of money, and he may need an extension relatively soon. So there's a lot of money on those books right now, and you're right. Toronto in the past has not been a team that's willing to spend a whole ton of money. They're not a New York or a Boston or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that they could have a big impact on that trade market when it comes to the deadline.
Speaking of Jose Bautista, though.
The punch heard around the world. Yes, great transition. So, Rugned or Rugged, as you might like to say by first glancing at the name, he's not a guy to be messed with.
Oh my God! What a punch!
What a punch indeed!
Punch. Like
From a wrestling standpoint, you're just looking at that like that is beautiful.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather is just like, that's a good right. That's a good right there. Because in baseball, the fights 99.9% of the time just amount to shoving. Just a little bit of shoving, just some exasperated yelling. Nothing ever happens. This one, you got the shove, and then Rune ignored her. I can't even say his name right now.
Not a lot of people can. Don't worry about it.
Just decided. You know what? I've been training. Here's my training and work, Jose Bautista. Are you ready for this? And just a straight right. And I got to give Jose Bautista some credit too, because I think that would have dropped 95%.
He shook it off.
Yeah,
he shook it off like it was nothing. Like everybody's giving all the credit to what a punch, what a hit, what a connection. Because obviously, in a lot of these fights in sports, there's not a lot of connecting punches and stuff that actually lands.
Yeah,
but this was a direct. You saw it clear as day.
Yeah.
He really gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But Batista you got to give him all the credit. He shook that off, and he was ready to go back at Odor before he got pulled back.
Yeah, he stumbled back 2 steps, and he was like, all right, round 2, let's go.
It was more just kind of like he got slapped, and then he was all like, well, let's go, man. Come on, bring it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was cool to see something kind of grab the headlines like that, and just something different, exciting happening in baseball, because those are the kind of things that keep the common fans interested.
And the appeal just got was 2 days ago, or I know the appeal was on Tuesday, and the result came out yesterday.
The
right?
original suspension handed to Odor was 8 games, and Batista had 1. There were other suspensions involved as well, but they were all very minor. Like John Gibbons, I think the Blue Jays manager was given 1 game, and there was very minimal effects elsewhere. But Odor's suspension, he did appeal his, and then it was dropped a game, so it was down to 7. So do we think that regardless of all the context and regardless of everything that happened, we're just looking at a punch was thrown and it hit another player in baseball? What should be the appropriate reaction to that? We can't include any context. All we're looking at is just a guy punched a dude. So what do we do about that?
I think. Oh my! Just cut that out. Anything under less than 10 games, I like. 10 would have been, because you're right. It is just a punch, but you never see that. It's a tough discussion. I think anything under 10 games is fair. I mean, you don't see the punch, and I don't think it's a good deterrent to just the straight up punch. I mean, we loved it, but the MLB is just like, what was that? What the heck just happened? So it caught them totally off guard. Yeah, so
this kind of thing doesn't happen a whole lot. Maybe in the older days, it was a little more lenient as far as guys going at it and just getting physical with each other. But these days, it's a lot more of a soft.
Yeah.
Just sports industry in general, so it definitely caught him off guard.
So he gets a week off, maybe 8 or 9 days off. I think that's right in the range of what it should be for his suspension.
So I have an interesting take on this, and this is kind of tied in, and interestingly enough, it's Bautista's teammate, Josh Donaldson, who had this to say. I saw that he was quoted in an interview talking about how he's a very big opposer to the beanball, and he's very pissed off about the fact that guys get beaned. He thinks it's a little too much, and that it's more intentional than maybe umpires and officials think. And especially with a guy like him, he's a very talented player, and he feels that sometimes the better players are targeted and not just walked, but they're hit too. And that's the point he was making there, which he has a very good point in making, is that it's you're interfering with their income and their livelihood. If you're trying to go out of your way to injure them, you're affecting their ways of providing for their family, and for them to make their paycheck and for them to make a living in baseball or whatever sport you're playing in.
Yeah, these guys get targeted because they are the best player. It's basically another player getting offended because you've hit a home run against them, or you stared at it for a second too long. Staring at a ball for a second too long shouldn't cost that guy potentially 6 digits or 5 digits, making him miss, or a 5-digit salary, or making him miss money, miss time. Potentially ruining career. Like I'm not saying Giancarlo Stanton's career is ruined, but I mean there was a thought that like, hey, this guy's really messed up his eye. It's not like it's so dangerous. I don't like, you have guys pitching so much faster now than you did. You have these 97, 98 mile per hour relieving hurlers, and to just aim at aim and purposely hit the batter. I hate it. I hate it.
See, I want to tie that into the Odor situation though, and now bring that in and saying, do you think that there's a lot of what Donaldson's saying that can be involved in that situation where you're saying when you're going out of your way to sock a guy and you're going out of your way to intentionally inflict pain on somebody, can't you also take that same argument where you're going out of your way to mess with a guy's physical well-being that could affect his play and how he plays and how he brings in his income?
Mm-hmm.
Because while it was a dirty play, he slid way too late. We never acknowledged that it was indeed a dirty play, and he slid way too late with the new rules, especially implicated this year, and it was an illegal slide. That should be taken care of. But my thing is you got to let the league take care of that. You got to be the better man, and I think because I blame Odor a little bit here because I don't think he's a great guy, really. I don't know him, obviously, but just from the way that he kind of carries himself, he seems like a punk.
He's had issues in the minors, too.
And he just seems like a guy where, of course, he's going to retaliate when you do something like that. Mm-hmm. And I think there may have been a little bit of bad blood that he remembered from the playoffs last year with the bat flip and everything. Regardless, if people think that that didn't factor in. It did factor into it.
They waited until their last possible moment to go after Jose Bautista because of that.
Yeah.
The reason that I look at the punch being a little bit less than the beanball is because in the context, the beanball is a calculated move, right? You're not really doing it out of emotional anger in the moment sort of thing. You need to decide you're going to throw the ball at the guy. You're going to need to go through your whole motion. It's a calculated move to take someone out. That fight that happened seemed like emotions got the better of both guys, and because Jose Bautista was just as into that fight as I can't say his name, as Odor was. So when you're batting and a guy's throwing a beanball at you, you can't say, oh yeah, I'm in this fight. Like, it's just, you're in it. You have the ball coming at you. You're all you can do is avoid it. Jose Bautista made the conscious decision, I think, to start that. He got beaned before that, didn't he, get on first base? So maybe not.
But what I would say in regards to that is, I kind of consider it a fight that's been carried on though, because stick with me here. Let's take it back to Jose Bautista's home run.
Okay. He
hits the home run, he flips the bat.
Yes.
See, where I'm thinking this comes from now is when he eventually gets beaned later, it's like that entire thing was the fight, though. Because, I get it, when he slid and then Bautista was ready to fight right there with Odor, yeah, absolutely. But I think at the same time, as far as beanballs go, it's almost like the same thing. It's just not the same exact kind of context, because I think the fight started when the bat flip happened.
Yeah.
Because he instigated it, and he triggered it.
8-month delay.
And the pitcher just chose to not let it go. See, I think that's the entire fight right there. So Bautista, in a way, was like, hey, kind of like an FU.
And it's well known that Bautista rubs players the wrong way across the league.
He's got that kind of Draymond Green mentality where he just doesn't care. He's going to be... He knows he's really good, and he's been very good over the past several years. That can't be denied. And so he knows it, and he flaunts it.
Yeah,
and he's not the only guy who does that. Bryce Harper has been a guy who does that quite a bit, and there's plenty of athletes across all the sports who do that. But it's just... I think a lot of these athletes need to not take it so personally, though.
Absolutely.
And remember, at the end 100%. Of the day, it's just about getting that paycheck to pay for your family. It's a game. You want to do your best to play that game and do your best and try to get the win. but don't take it any further. You don't. While it's fun for fans and everybody to see, like, oh yeah, they got in a fight and everything, just remember at the end of the day, it's just about getting the paycheck. You're playing the game you love to play. That's it. You don't need to take it into your own hands and start throwing punches and start getting in fights. Just because I care about all their well-being. I don't want to see anybody get seriously hurt.
Yeah, 30 to 40 years ago, when free agency wasn't a thing in half the sports, you had players very dedicated to the teams they played for. That's when that whole, us against them thing, or the teams against each other, really made a lot more sense. In today's league, these players, they're part of players' associations, they're part of free agency, they're going in and out of different teams. It
creates more connections, too, and I think a lot of them are more friendly with each other now. It's very, very common for guys to just be very good friends on different teams, and they know it's a game they need to play, so there could be a pitcher and a batter who are very tight off the field, but then when they go into the game and the pitcher's facing the batter, steps into the box, friendship's forgotten for a little bit. You need to do your job, and then when they go off the field, then they can just go hang out.
Exactly, and I think because of that now, when it does go over the line, we all see it as not just two guys going against each other. We try to figure out, man, this guy's just not a good, why is he doing this? Why is he going after this guy? He just is coming across as a bad person, because it's no longer, hey, I'm fighting for my squad. It's more these personal petty issues of, I just gave up a home run, I'm pissed, I'm being the guy. It just comes off more petty than I think it did 20, 30 years ago, and it's not a good look. It's not a good look. I think
it's just not being so reactionary.
Yeah.
When you're a pitcher, you give up a home run. To put it bluntly, you gave up the home run because you sucked on that pitch. So stop getting pissed off at whoever hit the home run or anything. You made a bad pitch, or maybe you didn't make a bad, but he just beat you. The guy that he was at the plate, it's a 1v1 battle. He beat you. You need to move on to the next batter. Don't let it get to you. Don't let it get to you emotionally, because it could affect you the rest of the game.
Agreed.
Same thing goes with when you're out in the field, no doors right there. Okay, yes, you have every right to believe that was a dirty slide, but let the league handle it. Maybe Batista gets suspended anyway because it was a late slide and because he's a repeat offender. Maybe the league looks into that and says, hey, he's actually going out of his way to hurt Odor. Let's take this into our own hands. Just don't be the guy. Don't be the hero. Don't be the guy that has to go in and make the statement. He made the decision. It's his decision at the end of the day. But I'm sure the Texas Rangers for those 7 games would feel a little bit differently not having their leadoff hitter. They want their guy to be there, and you got to think about the team there.
Yeah, and Odor. Another thing that he did on that play, I don't really think it gets mentioned too much, is that I think he was throwing at the ball at Jose Bautista as Bautista came in for that slide. I think because he threw the ball completely in there's no way that was a throw towards first base. It looked like he threw it. It bounced right over, not even halfway to first base. And you look at the slow motion replay, it missed Jose Bautista's head by about 2 feet or so. It was close. Maybe that was also contributing to his suspension, but it's just a bad look. Why do that? Why? It's just so petty. You just look like a kid out there. If someone pissed you off, and then so you're gonna try and take him out with something that, you just don't do. You don't throw a baseball at a guy from 2 feet away.
The last thing I want to touch on, when we'll wrap this, we won't just go on and on about this subject, but that I think a lot of people gloss over. Something I'm not too fond of. I get the point of it, but I'm just not a big fan of it. The fact that the freaking dugout and bullpens need to be cleared every time that something like that happens. Why can't Odor and Bautista just have been by themselves right there, and then the umpires just go out and separate because that's their job? They're the officiating crew. Yeah. They need to separate, and 4 umpires can definitely separate those guys. It won't be a problem. See, my thing is what, and this will kind of tie into more of why you shouldn't do this kind of stuff. You're being selfish because, and this is my reasoning, for what Odor and Bautista aren't realizing by getting in this fight is now you're not involving just yourself in this fight, because you know what's going to happen when you get in this fight. Your entire team is going to come onto the field, and then look, Josh Donaldson ended up throwing a few punches. Kevin Pillar goes out there, and then you've got a couple of Rangers getting heated in it too. See, you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting multiple guys. Who knows, maybe another guy, when he goes out there and that scuffle, tears his ACL or breaks a bone in his elbow or something like that. You don't know, because everybody's just pounding together like it's just some sort of mosh pit or something like that. So you need to think about your teammates' well-being and healthiness too. So
you already see the other 3 leagues too. They deal out if there's a fight and any of the players go from the bench to the ice or to the court or to the field, they get suspended immediately. I mean, you remember Amari Stoudemire. He took one step onto the court to go and help his own player in a fight, and he got suspended in a playoff game for that, which is just, I mean, that's a little ludicrous and a whole other thing in itself. But the other 3 leagues, they already have rules to keep guys from going on there. I wonder if the MLB will ever make that move as well. I mean, I think it'd be a smart move.
Yeah, I agree. So we do have to move on, though, to some more headlines. Just to briefly touch on it, speaking of ACLs, it was a very unfortunate loss for the Royals. Not only is Alex Gordon on the DL for them, he should be returning relatively soon, maybe in a month and a half or so, but unfortunately they did lose their very good third baseman in Mike Moustakas, who's been a key piece to that team being so good over the past few years. So they're going to really, really, really have to rely on Eric Hosmer, Kendrys Morales, Salvador Perez to carry that offense because they lost a huge piece right there.
Yeah, I feel a little like
I feel a trade is necessary for them to stay in this race because the Tigers are looking okay this year. They may have a chance of making some noise, and the Cleveland Indians are hanging around still. They've been my dark horse team to make it and make some noise happen over the past few years. I think Cleveland finally might be putting together a solid run this year, so look out for them.
Yeah, actually,
and of course Chicago. Yeah. I mean, Chicago's been the team that's been
the AL
dominant.
Central is hot this season.
Yeah, the Twins have one of the worst records in all of baseball, but other than them, I think it's a 4-horse race.
Sacrifice one team for the betterment of the other 4. But yeah, so those 2 injuries too, they did happen on the same play. We were wondering if that happened earlier when they ran into each other. That's when both injuries happened. That's killer. Yeah, that's killer.
It was a collision that Alex Gordon and Mike Moustakas had. Obviously, them being in left and third base, they were both going for a ball and. Just collisions happen. Sometimes just a lack of communication. A lot of things can happen. So they both get hurt. And honestly, that one play is going to cost them, I think, maybe a chance to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I love the way that Ned Yost understated this. His quote, "To lose 2 All-Stars in one play, it's kind of tough." That's all he said on it.
That's to put it lightly. Yeah.
The understatement of the century right there. I mean, they're just sitting over 500 too. So I mean, their season, I think they had higher expectations. Well, they obviously had higher expectations, and to lose both these guys while only above 500, I think you're absolutely right. This could cost them their playoffs. They're going to lose Alex Gordon for at least 3 weeks. I mean, yeah, they could be done for them. I mean, as a team that's been so good these past 3 years too, making 2 World Series, and I think they were close that first year too. So. It's I like seeing the Royals be good. I mean, you always love to see those minor or low or small market squads have their brief runs of dominance. I wish it continued a little bit longer, but we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. But right now, with those 2 injuries, I'm worried.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah,
it's going to be very, very tough. Yeah. We're going to move on to the players of the week now. We're going to make our selections. We've got to give a few shout-outs to some key contributors. Speaking of the AL Central, they've had a very dominant force, a very familiar face in the AL Central the last several years. Miguel Cabrera's back at it again.
Ooh, killed it this week.
.478 batting average with 5 dingers and 10 RBIs. He heard all the naysayers saying he might be on the downswing of his career and decided to just make a little statement in this last week saying
you have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea. No idea.
Let's see. I pulled up his game log. Yeah, on the 22nd and the 23rd, 2 days, he faced Tampa Bay and Philadelphia. He went 6 for 6 with 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 runs scored. I mean, he's been killing it this week. Just killing it.
And if he sticks into that Miguel Cabrera fold that everybody knows and loves over in Detroit, and JD Martinez, Victor Martinez, and the rest of those Tiger bats, Ian Kinsler, those guys all wake up and play up to their potential, that's a scary lineup to face. And they could be the new Blue Jays of this season, where that offense just carries them right on into the postseason.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a big contributor there. We also have David Ortiz. Still rolling the clock back.
Yeah.
He's got his 500 average the past week, 2 homers, 11 RBIs. He's been killing it. And lastly, a guy that I'm really liking, even though he's a foe of my A's over in the AL West, but Nomar Mazara, this rookie that's playing right field for the Rangers, he is the real deal for right now. He's 391 average the past week or so, 3 home runs and 8 RBIs, including a bomb, a 490 feet bomb that he just unloaded on.
Yeah.
So he's got a very special set of skills there. The Rangers may have found something, and he could be a big impact as far as whether they make the playoffs or not.
Last 4 games, he's something like 8 for 16, 3 home runs, including that bomb, and 8 RBIs.
Hitting 300 for the season, too, and he's very talented out in the field, got a great arm and a good glove, so he's really a great all-around package. He's living up to the hype, and the Rangers found themselves a new Josh Hamilton.
They needed to, losing a couple players to suspension now. They'll need I don't know if they'll need all the help they can get, but they can use a couple extra bodies to produce in that lineup.
And then there were a couple of NL West complete games thrown also. 2 guys going neck and neck trying to seem like they had the upper hand in the pitching aspect of things this last week. We had Johnny Cueto and Clayton Kershaw each throw complete game shutouts, as they're very well capable of. And 7 Ks for Kershaw, 6 for Cueto, 1 walk for Kershaw, and none for Cueto. So very...
What's the better performance there? So good.
I don't know. So who are you going to go for your player of the week this week?
I was going to give it... I was just going to go with the easy pick, Miguel Cabrera. I saw that 2-game stand he had this week, and my jaw dropped.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, just fantastic.
You put together a game where you go 6 for 6 with something 3 home runs, and it's just, oh, man, that's something special. I mean, we all know he's a special player. And you like you said, people had been talking about whether that was starting to he's getting old. Maybe he's starting to lose some of his skill. And he said, no, I'm still one of the best players in this game. And, oh, man, killing it. So mine goes to Miguel Cabrera.
He's reminding everybody that he's that Triple Crown winner, MVP type player for a reason.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stick with the rookie right here. I'm not going to put any bias. He's a foe, but, man, you got to respect talent when you see it. Nomar Mazara, keep it up, and he's a runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year. No one will be close to that. Young-Ho Park's pretty decent over in Minnesota. He's been hitting a few home runs lately, but Mazara's he's the complete package.
Yeah, agreed. I want to give a little shout-out to Marcell Ozuna. He's been killing it this past week, too. He's batting 500 over in Miami. Yeah, he's thrown up 2 home runs and only 4. He hasn't been putting a lot of runs across the plate, but he's been hitting pretty well this past week. So,
yeah, he's got a lot of talent. That's a very, very talented outfield that Marlins have, and that I think is the only reason why they're remotely in consideration right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton. That's a very talented outfield.
Yeah, even with Yelich out now, Ichiro's been put right in there, and he's had something like 2 4-hit games this past week. So that outfield is just I wonder how much of an effect. Did you see the clip when Stanton's been striking out these past couple of weeks, but Bonds just shaking his head going, what is he doing? I love that.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to get into some Bay Area ball, looks like. Do we want to start off with the brighter side of the Bay or the not-so-bright side of the Bay?
Let's go A's. I want to go A's first. Let's go A's first.
All right, we're going to stick to the green and gold. The inconsistency continues. That's to say the least. So 2 weeks back, they were looking pretty good. I mean, 2 out of 3 against the Rays, sweeping the Rangers, looking like they were going to turn things right back around, and then they just crap the bed again, where they get a 4-game sweep to the Yankees, get swept. And then they lose 2 out of 3 to the division rival Mariners, the Mariners are leading that division now, surprisingly enough.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was a very painful loss the other night where Ryan Madsen comes in. They had a 1-run lead in the 9th, gets 2 outs, then gives up a double to Nori Aoki, old Giants former Giant, and then Leonis Martin hits a walk-off home run, the very next batter.
Man.
2 outs in the ninth, and then gives up 2 straight extra base hits to lose it. So before that, he'd been doing really well, but he's blown 2 saves in the past couple of weeks. So
yeah, it's that sweep against the Yankees that hurts me. I know as an A's, like I always when I do root for the A's, like they hate the Yankees, and it's just I hate the Yankees.
They gave it right back too. We swept them in New York, and then they swept us in Oakland. So that was they definitely gave it right back to us.
Yeah.
Some good news, some very great, outstanding performances. 2 3-home run games by 2 separate guys for the A's. Danny Valencia over in Tampa Bay hits 3 home runs, and they were all moonshots. He did not get cheated out. He hit one on the catwalk and hit a couple others way far into the stands. Like they were no doubters. So Valencia's been hitting the crud out of the ball. Also, Chris Davis with the game of a lifetime. I was at the game, and I lost my mind.
Yeah.
So he hits 2 home runs in the game, and then the 9th inning comes around. It had been a back-and-forth game, but we blew the lead, and then we were down a run heading into the 9th. Then the bases get loaded. Well, I think we had like 2 runners on, and then there were no outs, and then one thing led to another. Then all of a sudden it was bases loaded, 2 outs. Chris Davis comes up, and I even said to the guy sitting next to me, I said, the only thing that's going to happen here is he's going to hit a home run. He's not going to get a base hit. He's going to hit a home run. He had already hit 2 earlier, and sure enough, he launched one over the left field wall, and we just lost our minds.
That's sick.
So, yeah, 3 home run game, including a walk-off grand slam. Like, have yourself a night, Chris Davis. And he's been getting way back into the swing of things, literally 13 home runs in the season now. That's what we got him for.
Wow, that's impressive.
For the home runs, for the power that he brings. So it's good to see. We're hitting a lot more home runs now. I mean, Marcus Simeon's got double-digit home runs for a shortstop. Valencia's hitting them out. Davis is hitting them out. This is very un-A's. Or anti-A's. The bats are working,
early
for sure.
2000 A's. Oh, they had pitching, too.
Yeah, back when we had Tejada and all those guys. Yeah, you
Jason
can make
Giambi,
Yeah, those were the days when
I
they
love
were really...
that squad.
They were pounding them.
Yeah.
Pounding them out. On the more negative side of things, though, injury plague has definitely hit very, very hard. We lose Sonny Gray in the rotation. We also lose Fegley, and Alvarez suffers a setback in his rehab. Canna had season-ending surgery on his hip, and then Reddick fractures his thumb. So, I mean, just got slaughtered as far as the DL goes. Billy
Beane saying today that this is the worst run of injuries he's ever had here as the GM of the A's. That's how bad it's gotten.
It's been pretty bad before. I wouldn't. There's been pretty bad stretches I remember over the last few years. Mainly just because we had Jared Parker and AJ Griffin employed the last few seasons, and they spent like almost the entire season on the DL every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the amount of bodies that are on the DL right now, it's a very large amount indeed.
Yeah.
That can't be understated. So, yeah, they've hopefully have a chance to turn things around. They've got a homestand coming up. I'll be at the game tonight and maybe a few more this weekend. They're going to be hosting Detroit. They got a very tough competitor coming into town. Detroit's out. Miguel Cabrera has been hot, as we just stated, and the rest of that lineup is very daunting, so we're going to see if Sean Manaea can get it done. The rookie's still out to prove himself, and see if the A's can wrap up the rest of that series, and then they'll be facing the Twins, so they'll get a little bit of a break, a little bit of a break next week, and then they're going to be on the road after that. So they'll have a chance to make a little bit of a splash back onto the scene with six or so games at home.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we're going to switch on to the more positive side of things. The orange and black.
They've been good. Oh, man. I think...
Is it time to finally announce that there's a new Big Three? Officially.
I don't want to say officially yet, because we're only 2 months into this, but we are very close to having...
Big Three territory?
Big Three. I mean... this couldn't have paid off in a better way than it's had so far.
I know one when I see one, man. I was going to say Zito, Mulder, and Hudson. It was the same formula. It was 2 righties and a lefty.
Yeah.
And now you fast forward now over in the other side of the bay, you got the Giants and you got Samardzija, Cueto, and Bumgarner, who have just been rolling.
Lights out. What did you say those stats were those past 2 weeks or so? Or their season, I think,
On
so
the
far.
season, they've got a combined 2.36 ERA, and they're 20-5. Very dominant.
Man, we put all that money into them, and they have succeeded. Give Dave Righetti the credit. Give that Giants defense
My
the
man,
credit.
Dave Spaghetti.
Give those pitch. I mean, it's been a great situation for them. I know we were saying, or I was saying earlier that Samardzija, he had bad stats, but I have got a feeling that it's going to come back for him if we can just. He doesn't have that Chicago White Sox defense behind him, and he's in a better rotation. I mean, it's just worked out wonderfully for these guys. The first Cueto having back-to-back shutouts. I mean, it's been a good run for him, but it's only 2 months, which is why I want to be a little bit careful about saying they're a big 3 yet. I mean, things could fall apart, and it's give them 4 or 5 months for those stats to really stabilize out. I guess that's almost the entire season, but give them another month or 2 for those stats to stabilize out, and then I'm definitely willing to say that is a big 3. And one of the most things that impressed me the most these last 2 weeks was that Cubs series.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. Taking 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. They also swept the Diamondbacks and swept the Padres on 2 separate occasions. In San Diego and then at home. So they've been absolutely rolling. It looks like they've won 13 out of their last 14 games. That's arguably one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in baseball.
Because not only was it that they took 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, but 2 of those starts were from, and I know they lost, I think, the Kane start, but they won the PV start. So, I mean, I did not see that happening whatsoever. They locked it down. They got 2.
Well, they lost the very unwinnable one where they faced Arrieta.
Yeah, that's true.
Who hasn't lost since,
that's true. 23 straight starts.
Mid last
like
season.
Yeah.
It's like winning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, of course, you can mark that one up as an L.
Yeah, it's...
He did finally have a not-so-great... He gave up 4 runs in 5 innings.
They still won.
Darn it, darn it. But they still won.
Yeah, so... I mean, that's the Cubs are the big team this year. So to put 2-3 against them, that's really like a playoff series between those 2 teams is going to be potential playoff series. I should say is going to be so much. The idea of that is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to think about.
Speaking of Chicago too, I just want to put this out there. I'm going to apologize, and I think you need to apologize to the Chicago White Sox defense.
Oh.
And my biggest thing that's in play here is that. Look at what Chicago White Sox are doing this year.
Yeah.
Tell me that Chris Sale and Jose Quintana and those guys are being impacted by such a poor defense. Yeah. I think it's more just a change of scenery. That's going to be the big factor with Samardzija now playing a lot better.
Yeah,
Dave Righetti, maybe Posey being a catcher.
Yeah. We got to look at the metrics because yes, fielding metrics aren't the most perfect stat at the moment, but they were by far like the worst last year. I haven't looked at it this year, so maybe there's been an improvement.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of improving though, just because Todd Frazier and Brett Lowry were like the big additions, but they're not wizards with the glove. Like they're just not big impacts. Yeah, and they're guys behind the plate. I mean, I think they've got Deoner Navarro and Alex Avila as their catchers right now. So I mean, they didn't exactly add and then Drelton Simmons to that defense just to help solidify things.
That's true.
Maybe all of them are just not sucking as much on defense.
Yeah, just a slight step up, and that's all they've needed. Definitely.
There's like, hey, last year we really just didn't get things done. We should probably try a little bit harder.
Guys, if we hold our errors to under 3 per game, all right, I think we could win. All right, just under 3. And the lineup's like, I don't know, man. 3 sounds like a big task, but they've been doing it this year, so... Props to them. Their pitching's been really good.
It all makes sense now to me, too, because Marcus Semien, who led the league last year in errors, our shortstop over on the A's, guess where we got him from? In the Samardzija trade from Chicago. It's just something about the air over in Chicago.
It makes sense.
Around the White Sox. It's just error-prone.
It's that they get the draft from I don't know. I was going to say they get
it's a windy city, so maybe the wind's just like blowing through their brain. I don't know.
But back to the Giants. I mean, they've been Hunter Pence. He's actually been hurt the past.
Punter Pence.
Is that what I called him? Hunter Pence, before his injury, he's been out for about 5 days now, I think. But he's been 292 batting average, 7 home runs, 33 RBIs. He's been up there on the team for batting. They're across the board.
He's by far their best hitter right now. Yeah, leading the team in average and RBIs. So he's the man right now. So you can't afford to have him out much longer.
Yeah. And what was I about to?
Belt's also pacing the team in on-base percentage, too. 407 thanks to a healthy 35 amount of walks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. And he's also got 22 RBIs to throw in as well. Not too shabby.
I think he's found that balance between, because he's always had that problem of looking at too many pitches. I think he's finally found that MLB balance of looking at too many pitches and then ripping what's there. And if he's got a 3-0 count, to just go ahead and swing instead of taking a pitch or waiting to get deeper in that count. So that's
very dangerous for other pitchers to have to think about too. When a guy gets locked in like that at the plate and he's waiting for you to come in, he's not going to help you out with those borderline pitches, and he knows how to take those pitches. So then the pitcher is going to go, oh crap! Now I need to I need to throw right into him, and then he's going to just melt me. So yeah, it's a very dangerous mindset for other opposing pitchers that Belt's sitting in right now. He's very calm and very situated at the plate. So
yeah, and what I was before I went completely silent there, I was thinking of that the Giants, they've been led by their pitching a little bit these last couple of weeks.
It's flipping the script, yeah. Because we were talking about totally the opposite a few weeks ago about how it was offense carrying them a lot this year, but now it's kind of the tables have turned, and now the big three, so to speak, are carrying things in the rotation. The bullpen's doing just enough to lock it down, and then the hitting is doing just enough to kind of get the W and get the win.
And the hope and the thought is that hitting is going to get better. But
I think it's more about timely hitting too. It's not so much
that's
about.
Always been a Giants thing.
It's not about higher batting averages or getting just a lot of hits. It's about getting hits when it counts. So they're definitely getting that done.
And since Hunter Pence is out, Jarrett Parker has been in the lineup a little bit. Or actually, I don't know if Parker came in to fill his spot or if it was Gregor Blanco who came in to fill his spot. But Jarrett Parker, I just want to throw out there, is throwing his 182 batting average on the season, but he's got a 455 slugging percentage. So he's not really hitting well, but when he does get hits... I got to
tell you, I was at the game last year where he came to Oakland and hit that ball that went above into the high seats in center field. And if you've ever seen the Oakland Coliseum, that is a very unreachable place to hit it to. So props. He's got a lot of power, and he's very talented.
Yeah. Although only 11 at bats, so maybe that's just some premature...
He's got talent there, so I think it's going to come with him and that other powerful prospect they have, Mac Williamson. I think that their impacts are going to come if they get regular at bats. So if there's an injury that occurs like Pagan or Blanco, which by the way Pagan's cooled off quite a bit from that hot start. His batting average has dipped quite substantially.
Yeah, he's something like 275 at this point now.
Yeah, so he's come back down to earth, indeed. And I think if one of those guys, and it may be inevitable that they go on the DL just because they're so injury prone, once one of those younger guys gets regular ABs, we may see their full potential.
Hopefully.
And then it causes a bit of a problem if they perform so well, and then you got to bring that guy back off the DL. Who knows?
Maybe if we need to make that move for another pitcher to shore up the back of the rotation, maybe that's if we have a surplus of outfielders, maybe we can do something there.
All right.
But who knows? We got 100 games left.
That could very well be true.
Yeah.
They might need to make that move for that fourth pitcher, that fourth solid pitcher.
Yeah.
And it could be the only firepower that they have if they have an extra surplus of outfielders. So we'll see.
The future is looking good for the Giants too. Their upcoming games. I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
Got the Rockies.
But I will say it's a road trip. It's
true.
all on the road, and they do finish playing St. Louis.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough one. St. Louis has been playing a little bit better, even you're going to be playing in Coors Field. It's not at home so you're playing to the Rockies' hitter strengths.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're throwing PV or Kane against those guys, you better be ready for a game.
Nolan Arenado, the best player in baseball right now, is just annoying to me because I've been hating on him the entire season.
He's very solid.
Yeah, but the Rockies, a couple games under 500, so I'm hopeful there. Then the Braves, so they're the Braves. The Braves are something like have the 6th most wins at Turner Field this season. So
Yeah, that's
all you need
not,
to know
not fantastic
about
news.
the Braves. And then
Yeah, they're a stomping ground.
so,
Hey, don't forget about that great story that the Rockies have, too.
Trevor's oh my god, yeah, Trevor's
I had to get
story.
that in there. I'm sorry.
It took me like you saw my head scroll through that. I was like, "What's he going?" Oh, oh my god, Trevor's
It's funny
story.
because every time I read articles or hear the Rockies broadcasters too, they still haven't. They're not done with that pun yet. They still keep on hitting it hard.
Hopefully, they just go the whole season with
The
that.
great story that the Rockies have.
Oh man, shut up, Colorado Rockies. Shut up. All right, so that wraps up Giants talk. Anything else you want to just touch on baseball? We good on baseball.
Garrett Cole hit a home run for the Pirates. Go Garrett Cole.
Just drop with that. All right.
He's a pitcher.
Yeah, they've been 8-2,
He hit a home run.
Yeah, they've been 8-2
Yay,
the past.
yay, pitchers hitting home runs.
Yeah, that is one of the best. Bartolo. Oh, we talked about this. Never mind. I would love to go back into that Bartolo home run and talk about the 30 seconds he took to walk around the bases.
He took a ride on the Cole train.
Yeah.
Garrett Cole hit a home run. Good job, Garrett
Is that
Cole.
a Gears of War reference right there? I'm pretty sure that's what that was. All right, let's get to NBA.
Money, money, money. Let's talk about the money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
We're going to jump into NBA salary cap now.
Big NBA offseason,
for
hopefully.
for this offseason. It's looking like it could be a big, splashy offseason. I don't think so, though, especially the way things have played out in the playoffs. I think there's going to be a lot more re-signings than guys jumping ship.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we're going to get into more of the brass tacks here and the actual numbers. It looks like the projected cap is going to be sitting around $90 million in that range. So it's going to be, I think it's 89 to 92.
What is it right now?
The
Do you know
threshold.
what it is right now?
It's a lot lower
Like
in the
70?
70s.
Yeah,
in the
okay,
70s. So it's going to jump up to around 90 million. And the way it's going to lay out for max contracts, because there's a lot of guys who qualify for max contract offers this year, is guys who have they're not going to have 1 year, but I mean, guys that have up to 6 years of experience in the NBA, they can sign for a maximum of $21.1 million to start off with in the first year of a max contract. If you move that up to 7 to 9 years of experience, the 21.1 jumps to 25.3. And then if you move that up even further to 10 or more years, that becomes 29.5. That's to start.
Yeah.
So that's a significant chunk of change right there. And let's keep in mind here, so we just talked about the cap is going to be around $90 million. If you were to sign a LeBron James or a Kevin Durant, guys who have been in the league for 10 years, that's a third of your cap to one guy. And keep in mind, you need to have 15 guys on your roster.
Has Durant hit 10 years, though, yet? I thought I heard something that...
I think he does hit 10
I
years.
think this is his 9th year. I think that's why he wants to do the one more year deal with Oklahoma City.
Could be.
Because he'll be in his 10th year next year, and then he'll get that extra money, which is why I don't see him moving this year. But, it's next year, 10 years, 29.5. So, yeah, that's a lot. Oh, my God, a third of the cap.
Even 25.3 is going to be a lot of money.
Yeah,
That's what Kobe made this last year. Because his deal was still on the older salary cap.
Who? Let's see. So we'd have. How many players would you think is worth that 10-year plus experience, or that max? Because once you're at that point of your career too, like you're maybe like I don't know if LeBron's going to be on the downside, but to give that much money to a player,
you're asking the wrong guy that question, by the way, because I'm a guy who I don't think guys need to squeeze every single last dime out of, like we've had this discussion before. I'm not a big fan of guys just making ridiculous amounts of money. When it gets up into this amount of change, that's just I mean, what's the difference between $29 and $25 million?
Yes, yeah.
I'm not if the guys are honestly crying over that, it's because when you're talking about guys who have 10 or more years of experience and they're making $30 million. That's not just the $30 million. Those are the same guys that are bringing in substantial amounts of money from endorsement deals and a lot of other avenues of life. So I don't feel sorry for them if they have to take a pay cut or something. I mean, look at guys like Tim Duncan and Dirk Nowitzki. They have no problem taking significant pay cuts. I mean, if Tim Duncan, one of the greatest power forwards of all time, wanted to get paid the way the rest of these guys are getting paid, the Spurs don't happen.
Mm-hmm. Same with Miami, too. Dwayne Wade's been taking pay cuts for almost the entirety of his career so that he can bring guys into there. Remember, he took a pay cut so that they could do the Whiteside, or I don't know if it was the Whiteside deal, but who did they sign? He did it for Adonis Haslam, too, back when they were the big three with LeBron. He did it before that so they could, in 2006, so they could work with Shaq. I mean, he's been doing that across his entire career of giving up just a little bit of money so that. But then again, he's a Heat lifer, so on the back end of his career, the Heat are going to take care of him after he retires and everything like that. So
and also the endorsement deals too.
Yeah, endorsement deals. Yeah.
I mean, I still see those commercials of him on today where he's made a substantial amount of money throughout his career, and he's very well taken care of. So. I don't really think he cares all that much, to be honest. I really don't.
That's true.
And meanwhile, the reason he takes the pay cut is so LeBron James can just soak up every last dime of what he was being offered in the max contract, where LeBron could have done the same thing and taken a pay cut, and then maybe they add another guy, and maybe they win all 4 years of those titles.
I was just speaking of Udonis Haslam. The way that situation went out is that Udonis is a huge, I know you're saying you don't believe in the locker room guy, but he's that locker room guy for the Miami Heat, and all the guys love him. So, and Dwayne Wade was actually the only one of the big three. Like, they went to all three of those guys asking for a small pay cut, and Dwayne Wade is the guy who did it.
Yeah, it's the same deal with Nick Collison over on the Thunder.
Yeah.
He's spent his entire 13-year career with the Thunder since they were the Sonics. Mm-hmm. So, it's same thing. Yeah. I think it's more about just the guys already there, too. This is... I think it's a little bit overplayed and a little bit overhyped about the locker room guy. It's just he's already there. He proves that he's pretty relatively healthy, so it's like, why let him go?
And he knows the system, yeah. Why bring another guy?
That's more of what it is. It's not so much like, oh, we need to keep this guy because it's convenience.
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of him and then just take a chance on some guy that may or may not pan out from the draft or something like that? You know he's going to give you consistency. So.
You've seen that a little bit with even the Warriors. They tried with Jason Thompson. He failed. They tried with Anderson Varejao. It's been a little bit more success than Jason Thompson. The fact that Anderson Varejao can actually stay on the court. But, I mean, you had, I guess you had David Lee be the guy before that, but David Lee was producing a lot, and David Lee wanted to go play somewhere else. So, and
the Warriors didn't want anything to do with his $15 million.
Yeah.
That's what that came down to, because they knew they were going to have to pay these guys coming out. Barnes and Ezeli are going to be free agents. So, as far as teams with the best cap position go, we're talking about the best possible outcome. We're looking at the top 5 teams right now with the most cap space. If they make the necessary moves, this is the following. The Lakers could have up to $64 million in cap space out of this around 90 that they have to work with. So that's obviously it's going to mean no more Kobe, and then they ditch Roy Hibbert too. But other than that, the highest paid contract on that team is going to be Nick Young. Swaggy P is going to be there, who's a bench piece, by the way, and he doesn't even start.
They got the second pick in this year's draft as well. They're looking.
I think they're going to draft another big. I think they're going to go with another big guy, because I think the guy they're targeting in free agency, and a guy who said he wouldn't mind playing because that's where he's from, is DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
He comes from Compton, and he said that he wouldn't mind donning the purple and gold multiple times. He's public about it, so it's a very real possibility that DeMar DeRozan heads over there.
I think that depends on how the Lakers have said they're committed to oh my God, how am I forgetting his name right now? D'Angelo Russell.
D'Angelo Russell and Jordan
Clarkson too. They've said they're dedicated to him, but that's what happened at the end of the season with D'Angelo Russell. Jesus, I just forgot his name twice in a matter of 30 seconds, so I'm an idiot. So I think it'll depend on whether they feel confident with them, and if not, they'll go after DeRozan. But I can see.
But you mean you could keep all those guys on board and then just have one guy be a sixth man, like a dominant six-man presence to come off and carry your second unit.
That's true.
I think the possibility that they would go there is just because Jordan Clarkson is more of a pure point guard. Mm-hmm. They keep him in the starting lineup, and then they have DeMar DeRozan be the 2, and then they have D'Angelo Russell just be a mega sixth man. Or you could just play a small ball lineup and have DeRozan play the 3 and have all 3 of those guys play in the starting lineup.
Okay, and that's my Laker theory. My Laker theory is go after. You said part of it, Hassan Whiteside earlier.
I think there's a very real possibility that they could get DeRozan and Whiteside. If they make both of those splashes, that's a very different team now.
The only alteration to me would be Barnes and Whiteside. Those are the 2 guys that I would see them maybe going after, or that I think would be the fit there. It's just I think it all depends on how confident they are in their backcourt right now. Their young backcourt.
There's a way. I'm not saying it's very likely, but they could get all 3.
All 3. Well, they do have $64 million, so yeah.
But then that just leaves nothing pretty much for. It kind of clogs them up a little bit also because I think you only need one of Barnes or DeRozan because you've also got Julius Randle, who's most likely going to be starting at power forward at the 4. So I think right now you got Clarkson and Russell penciled in as the 1 and 2, and Randall's in at the 4, and that's about it right now. Yeah. There's everything else is left up to uncertainty.
Depends
and there are other guys
on the as well.
There are many other guys too. Al Horford's out there, and there are many other possibilities they could look to. Chandler Parsons. So moving past the Lakers now. Speaking of Chandler Parsons, a guy, his team that he just played the last few seasons with, the Mavericks, could have up to $57 million. Not quite Lakers territory, but it's a significant amount of money, and that's assuming that Darren Williams and Chandler Parsons hit the road.
Yeah,
which is a very real possibility. And Nowitzki's most likely going to re-up with another friendly deal that's around the... I don't think he's even going to be making double digits. He'll be making like 9 or 8 million.
It's going to be low. And the thing about Chandler Parsons, he has those knee injuries, and he's having the player option. That's a lot for the Mavericks. If he declines that player option, there's talk that Dwight Howard might be a target in not Houston, in Dallas, and that Chandler Parsons might be the guy who tried to woo him over there, like he tried to woo over DeAndre Jordan. So maybe he'll get a contract just to go and do that. But if not, I can see him.
The one bold prediction that I can guarantee, that I don't know, a lot of things are going to happen, but I will guarantee you, especially after last offseason, the Dallas Mavericks are going to sign one of Dwight Howard, Al Horford, Hassan Whiteside, or Al Jefferson. Yeah. One of those guys will absolutely be wearing a Dallas Mavericks uniform.
Mm-hmm.
After the whole fiasco with DeAndre Jordan. They want a big. They want a big guy. And they're not
going to let the other team, storm that free agent's house and keep them locked in there.
Mark Cuban is going to take one of these free agents on a boat into the middle of the sea where no one can contact them. He's going to be like, all right, here's the contract. Let's just make this happen now.
Like a week before the contract's able to be signed, you're just going to stay out here for a week. We got cigars, we got food, we got girls. You just enjoy yourself, man.
Yeah,
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, who else might the Mavericks? They might go after Barnes. They might be another guy for Harrison Barnes, Nicholas Batum, Luol Deng. Those are guys they might be to replace Chandler Parsons. So
it's the only 2 guys, and I wouldn't even peg Nowitzki as a necessary starter. He may be relegated to bench.
6, yeah.
But the only starter I'd say that's guaranteed next year for the Mavericks is going to be Wesley Matthews at the 2. He's got a pretty significant contract he's playing under, so he'll be at the 2. Mm-hmm. Everything else is pretty wide open. Nowitzki could be in the starting lineup. It depends on who else they sign.
Yeah, agreed.
Also third now, we got the 76ers sitting at just below the Mavericks at $56 million. This is pretty irrelevant because nobody who's noteworthy is going to want to play for Philadelphia still because of their
turmoil in the front office. I mean, I don't know.
With the turmoil, granted, they did just hire a bunch of new front office personnel to lead the way, so it's not Sam Hinkie anymore. It's other guys making the decisions, the Colangelos. But
yes,
they do have the number 1 overall pick.
They do.
So they're going to be bringing in Ben Simmons, it looks like.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, thank you. I mean, if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, you have got to be so effing happy that they're not going to be signing a center or a power forward. Jeez, it's been the past like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Embiid to Noel to Okafor to Saric. I mean, they've just got so many guys stockpiled back there. Time to focus on the front court. Ben Simmons, I think, is going to be listed as a small forward, though, so it's not even a guard.
Their reasoning of, we just got to choose the best player available. Yeah, that works in a vacuum, but you also need to field the team.
They easily could have had D'Angelo Russell last year.
Yeah,
easily. Or no, did they have They have the 3rd overall pick behind it.
Last year? Oh, I don't remember what the draft was last year.
Yeah, it was Towns, and then Russell went. So they couldn't have got him.
That sounds right. But
could have got Porzingis.
It's the 76ers.
They could have got Porzingis.
Yeah, it's the 76ers. So what can you say about them?
Yeah, so until some of those rookies and some of those guys that they stashed, probably Ben Simmons this year.
They're so young.
Until they start proving that they're valuable and that there's a very good, maybe Minnesota Timberwolves-esque kind of feeling to them, then the veterans may start coming and wanting to play. But for now, and they also need a really good coach, I think. They're not going to attract anybody with the coaching situation.
Yeah.
Next team is a huge, huge impact on the free agent market. The Boston Celtics could have up to $49 million if they wiggle their way around financially. But this is my big X Factor team. A lot of names tied to them, including if Kevin Durant were to go anywhere, I think this is the most ideal place for him to go. Granted, they've already got Jay Crowder, who plays the 3, but I think they would have no problem just sliding Durant over to the 4, kind of like Paul George has been doing with Indiana. And that could be a very, very good lineup. Imagine a lineup of Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
and then
that's the one
slot
shooter
in
they
another
would need.
5.
Yeah.
Maybe they could sign Al Horford on top of that. I mean, they've got the cash.
They've already got the coaching. They've already got the offensive system in place. I really think they're just one star away from being a perennial big team for the next 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I could see that Kevin Durant if he were to leave. I don't know, maybe this year, maybe next year, but that's.
And when we were talking about the 76ers needing to seem appealing as a young team, that the Celtics is the example of the team you want to be looking like if you're young and wanting to prove yourself. They've got a fantastic head coach, really good, solid young players. So that's a team that's going to attract veteran free agents.
Exactly.
If they don't land at least one of the big names, I'll be shocked.
Because they've already stated they're going to make that run for Kevin Durant. Like, they've thrown their hat in. It's just, with what's happened the past week in the playoffs, I see it less and less likely that Durant's going to be heading anywhere.
And if not, if they can't make a deal happen there, they may look to the trade route, and they may look, because they still have got a pretty healthy amount of draft picks to deal with. So that could happen.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I was just reading something about players that the Celtics might be able to target. Who was it? People like Jimmy Butler, Danilo Gallinari. I just butchered that name. Zach Randolph, and then Ibaka too. So
I don't think Randolph really fits their speed.
That's true.
Randolph
He's
is very old-fashioned NBA player.
Yeah.
I think that the Celtics, my guy all along for free agencies, I think Al Horford would be a fantastic fit for them. I think they really need to do everything they can to get Al Horford, because that's the one position they kind of lack in right now, a center. He'd be a great fit.
Yeah, that's true. He's Al Horford. He's going to be a hot
good team
commodity.
player too.
Yeah.
Great team player. He doesn't want all the spotlight on him. He's more than happy to pass the ball around and know his role. So
He's
fantastic.
learned in that Atlanta offense. I feel like guys have gone to that Atlanta offense and just like Jay Crowder just improved their offensive awareness, I guess you can say. And then Crowder comes over too. He's on
No, that was DeMarre Carroll.
Yeah, sorry, DeMarre Carroll.
They look alike.
DeMarre Carroll.
They look alike, yeah.
DeMarre Carroll.
He
went to Toronto, yeah. And he's been killing it offensively. Well, when they are actually good or when they actually could put an offense together. I mean, they were down 60-100 at one point against the Cavs. But so yeah, that Atlanta offense, Budenholzer creates guys that like are smart offensively. So that'll be a step up going out of there.
Last team that we're gonna get into, Wizards. Again, not as big of a draw. They've got John Wall. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, their head coaching situation isn't ideal either. He's not fantastic, and it's going to depend on Beal. Bradley Beal, if he re-signs, they're kind of in a tough situation there
A lot of
because
risk there.
Beal's ceiling is very high. He can play very well when he wants to and when he can get to that level, but at the same time, so injury prone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And just cannot stay on the court. He has a really bad. It sucks too because I feel for the guy. I mean, when you have his particular injury that he's been dealing with a lot is a leg stress fracture that he's had happen a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be really tough on you to have to deal with that as an NBA player because your legs are everything.
Yeah, he's only played 55 games last season. That's a lot of money that they'd have to be giving to him for a guy who's just been hurt. But I mean, on the flip side of that, he's a 40% shooter from three.
He's a sniper. Yeah, he's a sniper from three, and he plays pretty good D when he feels like it. So
Yeah.
He's a great player. It's going to be interesting to see. I think they're going to end up just forking over the money and taking that chance on him.
I think they'll try to go after other people first, and then that's not going to happen, and then just put the max money to Bradley Beal. I could see that.
They're kind of aging a little bit. Gortat at center and Nene, those guys are on the wrong side of 30 at the 5. So, but Otto Porter, he's got a lot of hype to him. He could be playing pretty well for the 3 for them. So, I mean, there's still opportunities for them to improve. I'd like to see John Wall is so awesome to watch play. I want to see him on a contender.
Yeah.
Whether that means he needs to stick around, I think that there's no way that the Wizards will let him go. They're going to hang on to him for life. So I just want them to surround him with good players.
I'm a little worried that the Wizards had that little 2-run playoff appearances and that they're just going to fall apart like
or
that.
They could just fall into mediocrity where they're just kind of always hovering around that middle crowd. They never make any noise.
Well, that's what happens when you got to almost give a potential, or when you might have to give $23 million to a guy who can't play half the time. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
We're going to move on to the playoffs now.
Finally, the NBA. Oh, man. Well, I mean, finally. I don't know if I should say that since the Warriors series hasn't gone as well as we wanted it to. But if there's a team to take 3 in a row at the back end of a series, it's them. But we'll get into that.
Let's start off with East, though.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, teams that we don't care about. The Cavaliers. Ohio versus Canada.
A home team is dominated in this series.
Yes. Yeah, every single game, and it hasn't been a whole lot close.
Yeah.
Well, at least from the Cavaliers' perspective, they have absolutely annihilated Toronto every time they've played in Cleveland. And then Toronto, they took care of business at home, and they're going to need to take care of business to extend the series in Game 6. And, my key factors here, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, while they won those 2 games in Toronto, I just think the spotlight's a little bit too bright for them.
Yeah. I mean, you see one of the big things in the NBA is that role players on the road are much worse than they are at home. And then you've seen Lowry and DeRozan just fall into that. It's like, are they role players? Are they superstars? What is their role right now? It's just...
They're supporting stars.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. I think there's a huge difference between a superstar and a supporting star.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about guys like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, those are supporting stars. But they've got LeBron James, who's a superstar.
Yeah.
And DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, I think they're missing their LeBron James. They're missing that last key piece. I mean, ever since Garnett, Allen, and Pierce, a lot of the NBA is built on a big 3.
Yeah.
And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have their big 3 in set with Irving and James and Love.
Yeah.
And the Warriors, they've got Green, Thompson, Curry. And then you look over to the Thunder, and they've got Westbrook, Durant, and Ibaka. You could even interchange, like, one night it's Ibaka, one night it's Adams, one night it's Cantor. But they always have that. They always have that third guy that steps up.
Third guy, yeah, exactly.
So, but with the Raptors, though, I mean, DeMare Carroll they added, and I think he was the guy they thought would be that complete of the triangle of the big 3, but it's just not really happening. I mean, he's very solid, but they don't have that guy who's going to step up and take over a game in the fourth quarter and just let the other team know that he's a threat and he's a presence and he's going to make shots and put them down.
I think DeMar DeRozan is just too much of a volume shooter. That mid-range, inefficient volume shooting is just... And in today's NBA, it's kind of... I don't want to say it's getting phased out, but you're seeing... less and less of that.
Very Dwayne Wade.
Yeah. It's like a poor man's Dwayne Wade almost. Like Dwayne Wade doesn't.
He's a younger Dwayne Wade, really.
Yeah.
Because what he is he doesn't shoot the 3, and he's a 2.
Yeah.
how many twos in the NBA right now can't shoot the three? Not many.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how this league is driven. I mean, there's fives who hit the three, let alone twos. I mean, it's almost a requirement as a two now. DeRozan's special.
Yeah, he can either slash, get to the rim. When he gets to the rim, he's good. It's just he hasn't been able to really get to the rim against this Cavaliers defense. And then when he's taking those inefficient, leaning two-pointers from just inside the three-point line, it's just, you see that a ton. It's like, what are you doing? Like, come on. You guys, they're not, I don't want to say they're not working hard enough to get their shots, but they're just not taking efficient shots in these playoffs, and it's put up so many bad performances.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, and we mentioned LeBron James. LeBron, there's just no answer for him right now. He's just having his way, whether it's getting into the lane and then drawing double teams, which leaves Kevin Love open for a three, or Kyrie Irving open for a three. I mean, you mentioned the three a lot. The Cavaliers are just murdering people by the three.
Yeah, you've also got
More
J.R.
than the
Smith.
Warriors.
You also got Channing Frye.
Channing Frye has been on fire.
The fact that you can surround LeBron with four legitimately good three-point shooting players. And I'd say that Kyrie is the weakest among those four. I mean, I don't know about Channing Frye, but I'd say Kyrie is the weakest out of those four. Is just, that's a scary, scary thought. I know I said it last episode. They've kept it up. You think that maybe like at a certain point it was just playing above their means and they're coming back down, but I really think what it is that they just took it. Like they said, screw the regular season. Like I think LeBron's gotten to that point where he doesn't care what's happening during the regular season. They'll turn it on in the playoffs, and they've turned it on. Tyronn Lue has done a great job of getting Kevin Love integrated into that offense, which is just like what was a big missing part when it came to Blatt, and then apparently all the players respect Tyronn Lue too. So it's just, man, those Cavaliers are rolling right now. They are rolling.
Let's not kid ourselves. He's a puppet. You know what he's done a great job of?
That's not what I've heard though. I've heard
he's done a great job of giving the clipboard to LeBron James, and I don't think that's something Blatt did as much as Lue.
I've heard that Tyronn Lue has put LeBron in his place a couple times at practice.
You've seen it on TV too, where he's actually gotten into it a little bit with him, and he's kind of trying to establish. Yeah, I see that a little bit just because he is the head coach. If he never did that at all, that would be sending a really bad message as like he is absolutely running the team. I still think
so. You think it's just like a little bit for show?
Yeah,
I could definitely
absolutely
see that. Yeah.
And it's not to take away so much from Lue. It's just saying that LeBron, he's brilliant. He knows what he's doing out there. I mean, he both off the court with his finances and his sponsorships and everything like that. He's a very good businessman, and then on top of that, he's smart. He knows what to do. So
I don't think there's a player. This may be, I'll do a little 30 seconds aside. I don't think there's a player who's done more for in that player-owner relationship, given more power to the players over a career than LeBron James has. Whether it's been his attitude in free agency, his advertisements, just how much money he's made, the power that we know he has behind closed doors. I don't think there's been a player who's done more for the Players Association as a whole in the past 30 years. I think he's one of a kind in terms of brilliance. Agreed.
To simplify his impact on the offensive end, though, there's not a single guy in the NBA who can stop LeBron James from driving to the hoop. I'm just going to go out and say that. I don't care what anybody else says. There isn't. There's not a single guy who can one-on-one defend LeBron James and stop him from getting to the basket. So what happens is you need to double team him when he gets into the hoop. Mm-hmm. What that means is now he's got one guy's open on the perimeter. And that's how that Cavaliers lineup is almost set up, where it's like 1 in, 4 out.
Yeah,
and then he draws double team. He's going to find that open guy, and now that they have, like you mentioned, all 4 of those guys as threats to hit from 3, that's it now.
That's what happens when you see. That's what causes these 15 to 23 points made from the Cavaliers, putting up records. It's. I keep using the word scary because that's the first thing that comes to me.
Because I mean, you come in, you draw the double team, and now you've got on the perimeter Kyrie. Okay, do we want to leave Kyrie open? No, that's not good. Do we want to leave Kevin Love? No, that's not good. Channing, he's been hitting everything. No. J.R. Smith, he'll hit a shot from the half court by just like throwing it and fading out of bounds.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody's a threat.
You have an offense that is that simple and works that well. It's just, oh man, I keep wanting to say the word scary because that's the only thing that comes to mind right now. It's just,
And then you could subtract one of those guys because that's their 3 happy lineup, and then you throw in Tristan Thompson, who's just a monster on the boards.
Yes,
an absolute monster. And you could see why LeBron pushed so hard for the Cavs to sign him to that max deal.
Yeah, because we've seen how offense, when facing up against the Warriors, they've been beaten by that offensive rebounding. So you gotta. I think LeBron said, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to keep Tristan Thompson and just work on a couple aspects of our game and come back next year. And once we're healthy, we've got a really good shot. And that's proven to be 100% true because they are healthy and they are good.
I will say, as hot as the Thunder are, and this will be a little transition into getting into the Warriors Thunder.
Let's do it.
But just to wrap up Cavs, if the Thunder beat the Warriors, the Cavaliers are going to win the championship. The only team, in my opinion, who has the opportunity to lock down the Cavaliers is the Warriors, because the Warriors' defense will hold up better against the Cavs than the Thunder's defense will hold up against the Cavs. As far as defending the 3 goes, at least.
Do you think, like, continuing that transition into the Thunder's Warriors, do you think that Thunder's defense has been, I don't know if it's all been them, how much of it's been the Warriors just haven't been playing well?
It's more been Warriors.
You think so? Yeah.
And then we'll get into that now. We're going to get into Warriors Thunder. Wow, was I wrong? Was everybody? I picked the Warriors in 5.
Yeah.
I thought Warriors would win in 5 games, and now we're sitting at elimination in Game 6. Well, we were sitting at elimination in the last game, too. But now it's a Game 6 in OKC. This is, like Stephen Curry said it himself in an interview, this is the biggest game of their lives.
Yeah, it's the most adversity they've ever faced in the playoffs, and it's been a little bit worrying just because Steph, he's the unanimous MVP, and whether he's been injured or not, he just has not brought it in too many games this series, and it's cost them. I believe that Draymond's game feeds off of Steph, so we've seen Draymond drop off as well, and that's 2 of the big 3 that they have here in Golden State. So if you're going to have that much of a drop off on 2 of your best players against a good team as good as the Oklahoma City Thunder, that's how we're sitting where we're at. Just this is I will put out the disclaimer though that I've barely been able to watch this series because of work. So I'm just taking some box score looks at this, but it's. Who would have thought the Thunder? I mean, I only gave them I was saying they had a 20% chance, too, when we were talking about that, too. So I don't think anyone really thought the Thunder had the ability to put it together. But then Steven Adams really just came out of nowhere. I wouldn't say came out of nowhere because people have been talking about him the entire season. But I don't think we realized how much their length has been able to just stymie the Golden State Warriors.
You got to give credit to it's a whole team effort. Just like when we were talking about the Sharks. It's a whole team that gets this done, and the entire Thunder team is going to get done from top to bottom, literally. We'll go down the list. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are holding it down as the 2 superstars. You mentioned Steven Adams. I want to give him huge props because he's been getting banged up this entire series, getting lots of injuries occurring with him from his hand to his groin to just everywhere, even like down to his legs. He's just getting beat up, but he's continuing to produce, and he does not want to come out of the game. He gets pissed when he has to
He goes back to the locker room for about 3 minutes, and he comes right back out, and he goes, put me back in. I'm ready to go.
I mean, that's a rugby player from New Zealand you're talking about, so he's tough. He's tough as it comes. He's also one of 6 kids, by the way.
Really?
He's one of the younger ones, so you can kind of get where he gets a lot of that toughness.
Yeah.
His sister's an Olympic athlete too, I think.
Jeez, I think one of the big things that everyone thought that the Warriors were going to be able to go small against this Thunder lineup, and that the Thunder lineup wouldn't be able to keep their productive bigs out on the floor. But what's happened is that the Thunder have just put out a lineup that, while a little bit smaller,
own small ball lineup.
It's a little bit smaller than what they usually run with, but it still has so much length that it keeps the Warriors from. They try to do these lob passes down to like. Or like Draymond, anything into the paint. If they try to have a back down, it's getting just tipped away. Their cut passes or their passes off of guys cutting to the net getting tipped away. They've got so much length on that defense that it allows their the Thunder big man to stay back a little bit, not have to come up to guard that Steph Curry pick and roll as much as they would have to, and which is such a big key to the Warriors' offense. That pick and roll at the start of a play that causes the whole defense to have to come up to deal with Steph Curry. And if you don't have to do that, then a lot of your offense for the Warriors just disappears.
Yeah, and back to the Thunder, too, with just everybody contributing. I got to give a shout out to Deion Waiters, who's actually been having a pretty decent offensive series. Even Anthony Morrow, who's got very, very little playing time. When he's come in, he's made shots. He made a shot last night. It wasn't given a whole lot of credit just because it was at the very end of the game where they were already out of it, and there was only so many seconds left in the game. He got inbounded a ball in the close corner and just launched it, but he didn't catch it cleanly, and then like it got tipped too, and he just kind of like threw it up with one hand and then just swished it. So I mean, he's just making shots when he comes into the game, and him, and then Enes Kanter's been a great presence off the bench for them. I mean, top to bottom, Andre Roberson too's had actually very, very good defensive and offensive series all around.
We decided we tried to who did we do that against the Memphis Grizzlies? Tony Allen. We did that against
Gave him the
Tony
Allen treatment, yeah.
But he's turned that around on us, and he's been hitting big threes across this entire series. So I mean, the Thunder offense has been killer this series, and Warriors just aren't matching them. Warriors just are not matching them. We knew it was going to be offense on both sides too, but
yeah. So I mean, back to what I was talking about with the Thunder defense against the Cavs, and we talked about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, and you brought up the fact that the Thunder might be playing a little bit more defense, or if it's just the Warriors. I think it's more the Warriors. While the Thunder have been playing pretty good defense, I'm not going to say they've been playing bad. They've been playing very good defense.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the bigger problem is that the Warriors' offense is just not clicking the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Steph. He was 0 for 5 in uncontested threes in Game 4.
What I think is kind of hindering them right now is the fact that they're just not playing their style of game. They're not playing the way the Warriors need to be playing. And that has an effect on the defense. When you come out and you're struggling and you're not really hitting on all cylinders and you're not moving the way you're supposed to move and you're not fluid, it can make the defense look like it's a lot better than it actually is.
Yeah.
So if the offense is performing a lot better and making the shots they need to make and doing things they need to do, all of a sudden Thunder defense isn't going to look as great. I think it's more just Curry needs to find his rhythm. He missed a few games, obviously. Thompson's been the one consistent guy throughout the playoffs. He's not been fantastic every game, but he's been very solid nonetheless.
You're not seeing 7 points from
Draymond,
from
like you mentioned, though, is he's the X factor.
Yeah, he's fallen apart these last 3 games. Ever since he kicked Steven Adams from the groin, it seems like he's just been unproductive. I've got a theory. It's not very scientific at all. It's just kind of, I think he takes a little bit too much of what the public perception of him is. I think he takes it too much to heart. And my 2 examples will be this season. He had the 3-point contest where everyone kind of ridiculed him for that. And we saw that his 3-point shot was gone for about 3 or 4 weeks after that contest. And that seemed like it was purely a mental thing. And then the Steven Adams thing happens. Everyone kind of turns on him. The hate is real for the Warriors.
You need haters. What do you think a hater's job is? To hate.
All the Warriors haters have come out of the woodwork right now, and it's a lot throwing it on. Like, it's stuff that we've seen with that 4 years with the Miami Heat. And you got to wonder if maybe, like, if that's getting to Draymond. I don't know. Like, it's I don't know how else to explain it. If it's a mental thing or if it's just that since Steph Curry's not working and Draymond really does work off that pick and roll where he can get that 4-on-3 run into the basket, and if he doesn't have that, does all his production go away? I mean, it's give or take. Who knows what it really is?
I think it's the expectations, like we discussed earlier off air too. The expectations have risen dramatically for Draymond Green. He had a bit of a breakout last year, but this year he really took everything to a whole new level with the triple doubles and getting that recognition at the All-Star break and being on the All-Star team for the first time and just being recognized as just an all-around dominant force in the NBA. He's no longer that sneaky, really good guy. Everybody knows about Draymond Green now. So I think it's reacting to that and reacting to the expectations that are now had for him. And he now can't get away with being the underdog. He is the top dog, and he needs to act like the top dog. He's expected to. Yeah, it can affect him a little bit with the opposing fans and a lot of other people hating on him now because they think he's a dirty player and they think he complains too much and whatnot. He has too much fire. He needs to be who he is, and he just needs to tune everything out and then just be Draymond and play his game. And honestly, I don't think he needs to look for his shot as much anymore. That's not where he makes his impact. He makes his impact in passing, playmaking, and rebounding.
Yeah.
Those are his big strengths. And if he scores on top of that, great. If not, don't be pressing for your shot. Don't look for it. You just need to make sure that you find the open guy and you make your presence felt on the boards.
Because I think the two ways that Draymond gets his points is he either has that stand-up three-pointer where he just gets the pass and shoots it from the top of the key, or he has that 4-on-3 like we just discussed. And both of those come from Steph, come from his ability to make playmaking. His playmaking skills are so good on that 4-on-3. That's what opens up his ability to take more shots. So I can see. I definitely agree. Open up his, or not open up, but find his passing game again. Find his rebounding game again, and I think that'll lead to the momentum that brings back his shooting game.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the other thing that I was hearing a little bit talked about is like after Warriors post game and stuff like that. Bogut's impact was huge yesterday too, and I think Bogut's going to be a key for the rest of this series. And if they go any further, he's got to have a big presence. Him and Azili both. I mean, the centers rebounding is so key in this series because Cantor and Adams and Ibaka, those are guys that hound the boards, and that just leads to more offensive opportunities.
Yeah.
So if you're hounding the boards and you get those at a decent enough rate, granted the Warriors aren't a top rebounding team by any means. They don't have guys that are just going to suck up everything on the boards, but if everybody does just enough and it's a team effort, then they can certainly do it.
Agreed. Anything else?
Oh yeah, we were also going to talk about so if it would suck, but I mean it's a very real possibility if the Warriors do indeed lose in a game 6 or 7, or I mean even lose in the finals if they get to the finals. Does 73 wins mean anything or as much if there's not a title attached to it? Because there's a lot of comparisons to the 18-1 Patriots.
Yeah, it's a complicated discussion because you don't see that in the NBA whatsoever. NBA is usually so predictable with how their playoff series are going to go, where if you're the better team over 7 games, this doesn't happen. Where you see
barring an injury, of course, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it might not mean anything. It might just be that 18-1. I think I'm just kind of afraid to think of it like that. But I could see. I mean, Jordan got the title when he got 72. I mean,
yeah.
What else can you say?
And I think a lot of fingers are going to point now to whether Steve Kerr should have rested guys more and not played the guys as hard down the stretch, and maybe they should have taken more of a Cavs or whoever approach that where you're not playing guys as hard towards the end of the season and getting them prepped for the playoffs.
Yeah, the 73 wins might have bitten them in the ass for this playoff series.
Could have.
Yeah, it's just you go too hard. I mean, you see how exactly how you said. You see the Cavaliers went about this season where they just seem to be not really giving it their all the entire regular season and turning it on in the postseason. You got to wonder if, with more experience in the regular season, if that Warriors team would have gone down that path, if things would be looking different right now.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I agree with you. I don't think it means as much because regular season's one thing. I will say, as far as that, it is absolutely, especially for the guys involved, for everybody who is a part of that team, from Curry, Thompson, Spates, just to the bench, everybody who is involved, that is always an accomplishment they can hang their hat on, that they can't be taken away. They won the most games in regular season history of all time. That's great, and they're going to take that to their grave. But at the same time, as far as the public eye goes, I mean, that's what people care about at the end of the day is championships.
Yeah.
They want to see who won the title. I mean, you're going to look in the record books and see the Warriors' name there, but there's an asterisk because they didn't win the title. Mm-hmm. And Jordan's Warriors still that 72-win team is probably still going to be seen as the best team of all time.
Agreed. Unless the
especially
Warriors
because I don't think the none of those series were even close. I don't think when the Bulls were none of those games got to Game 7. I guarantee you that none of them got to Game 7. Maybe not even Game 6.
And you never saw Jordan not come as much as Steph Curry has in this series. I mean, Jordan may have one bad game in an entire playoffs, and we've seen 2 or 3 now from Steph just in this round. So, and on top of him missing 4 games in the first series, just...
Hopefully this is not the case, and hopefully that we see the Warriors battle their way back from a 1-3 deficit and take the fight to Cleveland. They'll have home court against Cleveland, so that'll be good. And hopefully they can just get this done. Repeat in the Bay Area, double parade.
Semi-bold prediction, if the Warriors win Game 6, they're going to win Game 7.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are saying that, yeah. And I'm one of them, because Game 7 in Roracle...
Oh. We just need to get to that Game 7.
Good luck.
We just need to
Gotta
get to
Game 7. But it means Game 6 is going to be the biggest game of their lives. So hopefully the boys pull that one out, and I think that's just going to about do it for this show.
Definitely. Social media.
Yeah, let's get it out there. You can hit me up at the tweets, Dalton Wicks.
All right, and I'm still at EH24 the Mamba. I think I'm just going to stick with that. I think it's decided.
Yeah, I still think you need to change it, though. Is Eric Harmon taken?
I haven't even checked, to be honest. I should.
Just go with your name, man. Get that branding out there.
Yeah, that's true. I do need to. Yeah, okay, I'll change it. You convinced me in these last 30 seconds. I won't throw out the other social media today, but...
We appreciate the support. We've seen some growing in the likes on Facebook and whatnot. Please subscribe to us on iTunes. Find our YouTube channel. Everything.
Dub and Harmon Show. That's what you just search anywhere.
Us.
Yeah. Search the internet. You'll find us. Dub and Harmon Show. All right. I'm ready. Have a good night, folks. Have a good day. Have a good whatever the hell you're doing right now.
You stay classy.